Hey everybody, it's Bailey Wiki, and we got another cool session today. Today, I'm joined by another third-party content producer for DC20 content, Onyx Studios. Hey Onyx,
Hi.
welcome. Welcome to the channel. Uh,
Thank you.
so I'm looking at some cool sci-fi guys in front of me, and you're gonna show us here pretty soon, kind of walk us through what you provide here. But for those of you who haven't been following, the Bailey Wiki channel, we cover really kind of anything Foundry. We also do some dungeon draft, but anybody who's doing things with VTTs online, we'd like to be able to cover them and talk about them. And we started, I don't know, months ago now, more than 6 months ago. I got into partnership with the Dungeon Coach because I was really excited about the DC20 system. DC20 being a new game system feels a little like D&D, a little bit like Pathfinder 2e, but a little bit more special, and it's got some really interesting things that it's doing and some innovations that I just really latched on to myself, and that I think a lot of other people did because it had such a successful Kickstarter last year. So what we've been doing, I've been helping actually bring the DC20 system to Foundry. And together with Patrick, who's really the developer of the system, and some other people on my staff, we've been working on getting that system into Foundry. And we just launched it officially. So the official system is now available in all its glory. You can actually play the game system for free. Once you get to level 2, you can upgrade to the full premium pack. Well, what's happened along the way is we've had some really great. If you've been in Foundry at all, you know our community is pretty robust here. We've got a lot of artists and module developers and other storytellers that come along and build cool content for the systems that we love. And so when DC20 hit, and as we've been launching it, been keeping an eye on some of the third-party content creators that are filling gaps in the system and building content to give to us who want to play DC20 games and be able to have a lot of stuff to play with. And so, yeah, Onyx, you've been really, rising to the top here as far as somebody who's involved with community, producing stuff on a consistent basis, producing really cool stuff. So today's about letting people know what you're up to and what's available. I think most of your stuff right now is free. So anyone that wants to play DC20 right now and they want to get some extra content can jump right in and start pulling your stuff in. So I'm hoping you can walk us through it. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, that does sound like a plan.
Cool. Now, what got you, real quick, what got you into DC20? I don't know if you have a background in this kind of thing or how'd you get here?
So I did start off by playing D&D, and then the I played D&D, and then I started GMing, and then I started looking into other VTTs because D&D Beyond's VTT wasn't just cutting it. So I looked into Roll20, tried using that, couldn't do it that well. So I decided to go straight to Foundry, and that was a lot better of an experience. And eventually DC20 came out, and the biggest thing that got me hooked was actually, funny enough, the logo.
Ah, no kidding.
So that was pretty much like, okay, I went to the exactly to the Kickstarter, donated to that, and actually really love what the VTT has come, especially since it's so much better than what D&D has right now for Foundry.
Yeah, and I mean, gosh, this system is epic. Like, people are pretty impressed by the Pathfinder 2e system. That's why the PF2e crowd, I think, mostly is on Foundry. If you look at that globally, people who play PF2e on VTT are on Foundry because it's such a good implementation of that system. And that was my vision too for DC20. I wanted to see something because Foundry's capable of a lot. Now, whether you can take advantage of all those capabilities, there's a lot of variables there, but fortunately we have the right developers and community around us to build something really epic. So just even this first version of the system is like, I think one of the best game systems on Foundry. And so the fact that you're coming in and building some content for us is really cool. So I thought what we do is kind of jump into what you've got. And I think maybe we start with your homebrew module because I think that's where you started, right? In terms of content.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and that
So
thing's been consistently updating.
okay, so
So
what's it called? And I assume people can find it on the main Foundry module directory.
yeah, they can. So on my mail. So it's called Onyx Studios Homebrew, and then DC20 right there.
Okay, great. And they all have
And it
DC20 in the name, so if you just type DC20, it'll filter down to a lot of stuff that you provide, Sir Nylock and other things that are built for DC20. Okay, so you install it, and then
mhm.
what does it introduce? Some compendiums?
Yeah, it introduces a whole slew of content. You have 2 ancestries already in there, 3 classes, I think like 48 magic items,
Wow.
100 monsters, 36 spells, and then 5 cantrips, and then subclasses for all of those as well.
Holy smoke. So I'm looking at a lot of these, wherever you see that little tag that says Onyx Studios Homebrew DC20, those are all compendiums that are introduced once you activate the module. Okay, cool. So maybe you can give us a little smattering of what's in here.
So first off, I do want to open up their ancestries here. Some of these were made by community members. I really do like about working with certain people when it comes to homebrew, especially getting it out there for people. One of which was the Cobalt by the West Marches,
Hmm.
which they made an entire Cobalt ancestry that I
Wow.
managed to actually implement into the actual system here.
Wow. Fantastic. And when you say
Another
implement,
one,
you are taking advantage of a lot of the automation and stuff that Patrick's built into the system, right? I mean, that's kind of one thing that
yes,
I've
exactly.
tracked with you is, and you've been very helpful with QCing and providing input into that system.
Yeah, so there are 3 work in progress. This is probably gonna be coming up in a later update, but those are scheduled for later dates.
Great.
But right now are already there are the Gearborn and the Kobold.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've got some new ancestries that you've introduced.
And then in here, we also have some classes. So over here, we have an Artificer one made
Hmm.
by Captain Minette. So all of these actually have macros to go along with it to provide that automation as well. Probably the biggest headache out of every class I've gotten to work on, but you have
No doubt.
infusions in here as well and all kinds of stuff. And then in here you have the Death Knight, which is heavily inspired from the Death Knight from World of Warcraft, which is where that inspiration came from. So you have a whole bunch of stuff like weapon imbuements and all of that in there as well.
Fantastic.
And then there's also a Lucksmith. It's actually suggested by one of my players who wanted to play a luck-based class. So I managed to design one with various rules on how luck points work and all of that stuff.
Wow. I love it.
And then these 2 are coming in at a later date as well.
Nice. And I like that you're working with people who have these ideas out in the community. Is that something that it sounds like that's something you're open to? Like, should people approach you with ideas that they've got, or how do you source your
So the DC20, the Dungeon Coach channel usually has a homebrew channel, and usually I'll reach out to those people
Hmm.
and get in contact with them. Another way, there and some people do suggest monsters that should be added, and am 100% open to those suggestions. I will always try to at least try to make that item for them.
That's great. Speaking of items, you've also got items. It looks like you've got some monsters with this. What else?
Yep.
What else are we looking at here?
So So we have some magic items in here, like some arrows. So these arrows are actually have ways to actually change the damage type of your weapon, and
Nice.
this is using an enhancement to actually change the damage type here, and using an actual custom resource for the arrow as
Great.
well.
Very cool.
And then, of course, we have all the magic items in here as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow, that's a ton of
So
items. That's great.
yeah. And then for our monsters here, I have made a lot of them here. So one of which we have Cerberus from Greek mythology, one of our bosses in here. So
Hmm.
you can see it already has some abilities. It's meant for level 5 players as shown there
Does
as
this have
well.
token
And of
artwork
course,
with it also?
yes, it does. I do use AI in it just to avoid the whole copyright thing and then making sure that way it can still remain free.
Got it. Good to know. And for people who don't realize also, there's a ton of artwork that you can get for Foundry that comes free as well. So, also if you ever want to swap artwork out for something else, there's other free resources for it.
For every monster type, I've at least included one level 1 version of it. So if there's an aberration, a beast, there's at least one level 1 version, and then of course a level 2 version. The only one that is not the case is dragons, which I've done like I think 45 dragons just to make sure dragons were fully finished. So that's
Amazing.
the
That's
monsters
so
there.
huge because there's obviously there's still a monster pack coming from Coach, so having some creatures that you can throw onto the battlefield is super critical right now.
And then, of course, we have our actual spells and cantrips over here. So
Mhm.
there are 36 spells in here, and then, of course, 5 cantrips in here as
Wow.
well. So you
Wow.
also have some classic D&D themed ones like Vicious Mockery and Fairy Fire as well in
Nice.
there as well. So all that's in there. And then finally, we have our subclasses, which for right now, we have 3 for each single actual main class.
Hmm.
And then a one special one to actually showcase some that might be coming in later updates, which is the demigod spell subclass for the actual spell blade.
Nice. And all these subclasses work with the existing character builder, right? They just,
Yes, they do.
if you're using the DC20, you're creating a new character or you're leveling your character up, everything's set to be automatically integrated into that process.
Yep.
Awesome. Love it.
So that would be pretty much it, other than the OSH summons, which are basically just summons for the actual classes or for a spell like summon undead,
Great. I saw a
which
turret in
is
there.
yeah. So yeah, summon undead does have this like DC 10 spell check, and then you can summon a ghoul on a success, or on a failure, actually summon a zombie.
Love it. Okay, so that's the homebrew module, right? Most of it.
Yeah, I did wanna get into, like, some of the macros for some of the classes as well, that way
Yeah,
you can
explain how
see the
some of it
actual
works. Yeah, let's
mechanics.
do that. Yeah.
Yep. So, first one I wanted to get into is the Artificer class itself. So, the Artificer, and if you go to class features into here, you'll be able to see some Artificer infusions all listed into here. Right here, you can actually press a macro button to infuse that item. So, for example here, this Bastard Sword right now is only has a +5 bonus, right?
Okay.
But if I use this infusion on it, you can kind of see that it brings up a little notification saying that it now has a +1 attack bonus. And if I actually go to this Bastard Sword, you can see it also changed the name and then added a +1 attack bonus already into there as well.
Lick. I love it. How many infusions do I get?
You get them per level. So level 1, I think you get like around 6 or 7.
Okay. Great. That's awesome.
So, and then level 2, you get 1. And then at like level 3, I think you gain like 2 more.
Great. And I
So
assume you've
all
got
that's in
like
there.
journal entries where they can read about the different subclasses and the classes, subclasses.
I actually just put them inside in the OSH classes. I just have these into the actual embedded inside the class description into here. So you can
There
see
we go.
here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So all
Great.
that's integrated into there. The other thing that this is part of one of the subclasses, which is the weaponsmith. They can actually craft their own weaponry once per long rest. So I can create this little macro, and it says select a weapon to create, which I can choose any one of these weapons. Let's
Mhm.
just choose an arcane rifle. And it also lets me select the arcane rifle's damage type. So I can choose fire, lightning, or cold. So I'll just choose fire for this example. Actually, let's go lightning since we already see fire. You can see here it says arcane rifle lightning, and it actually chooses the damage type to actually be lightning of that rifle.
Nice.
Another thing you can do with this is also create an explosive launcher, and it also removes the old item, as you can see here.
Ah,
And
cool.
an
Wow. You
explosive
thought of
launcher is
everything.
created.
Great.
Yep. So all that's pretty much the weaponsmith in its whole. There are macros for pretty much everything. One of the other ones, if I go to OSH subclasses here and grab let's say a level 3 feature from um, the techsmith, I can take this Genius Inventor, which allows me to construct different gadgets here, which you can see here. These are some gadgets you can create, and this is based on your prime modifier. So if I click this, it lets me select a gadget here, so I can craft a flashbang, steer adhesive trap, and then a mini drone at the end. You can kind of see here, it created all 3 of those as well.
Wow.
And if I roll one of these, it will also ask me if I want to delete it, and I can click yes, I want to delete it.
Oh, so they're like single
And
use?
yep,
Great.
exactly.
I love it.
And then if you click this macro again, it will remove the old gadgets, and then you can select some again.
Man, that's fun.
So that's the Artificer there. Next one is the actual Lucksmith, and the Lucksmith has similar vibes with the Artificer here, with something called Lucky Infusion.
Mhm.
So Lucksmiths have luck points, which they can gain or lose via events that happen throughout the campaign, which is listed in the luck aura right here.
Okay.
So it even lists the rulings on the luck points and how you can gain more LP or lose some as well.
Oh, so like rolling a
And of
nat
course,
20 gives you a luck point.
yep,
Picking a
picking up a
coin,
coin that's
showing, I
showing
love it.
heads.
Great.
A lot of luck based stuff in
Yeah,
there.
cool.
Uh, cool thing about Lucky Infusion, you can spend LP to infuse that item that you touch with good or bad luck, your choice. And the more
Hmm.
LP you spend, the bigger the effect. But again, this also goes into your luck aura. So the more luck points you spend, the more unlucky you become.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of the adverse effect on this. So I could actually click this little macro, select an item to fuse. So let's say a meteor hammer. I can select that, choose lucky infusion, for example, and you can kind of see it's already telling me how many luck points I can spend.
Hmm.
I can select 3, hit confirm, and you can see this meteor hammer has lucky infusion advantage 3, and it even created the effect for it right here. And you can
Wow.
kind of see the value is already set to 3 for all the luck up effects.
Nice. So you get a +3 on all those different checks, is what I
Yep.
just saw.
So yeah,
Cool.
as soon as you roll a check, it is going to remove that effect. So let's, for example, if I roll a awareness check here, click this little magnifying glass, you can kind of see,
Mhm.
okay, I got advantage from that. I roll it, and you kind of see that it rolled the 3 advantage here.
Yep.
So I can already see this right in here. And it also reverted to Meteor Hammer back to its
Hmm.
original state.
Wow.
So
Nice.
all that's done in there. And then finally, we have the Death Knight, which actually works really, really well if you combine Sir Nilok's Deathless Ancestry with it, because you basically do get the Death Knight from World of Warcraft just because of Risen Thrall and then
Oh.
Haunted. So Death Knights have the ability to actually imbue their weapons. So I can actually click this little macro here, and then it can allow me to select a weapon I want imbued. Let's choose a longsword. And it asks me if I'm doing this after a full rest, because this thing, the blood imbuement does, imbuements do have a full rest enhancement.
Hmm.
So if you imbue your weapon after a full rest, you do not consume a rune for that.
Hmm.
But since we are not doing it, we are gonna click no on that. And we're gonna hit select, and then we can choose a different damage type.
Hmm.
So we'll choose bludgeoning. And then now you can see our weapon now has this blood imbuement and now is dealing bludgeoning damage.
Wow.
And on top of that, has this bloodied healing. So while we're bloodied or well bloodied, we can gain 1 temporary HP at the start of each of our turns.
Nice.
While we're equipping this weapon, of course. So that's pretty much it for overall like automation for subclasses and classes and whatnot.
That's great. Yeah, I love it. I love how much you've been able to implement with all the system capabilities. And I'm sure
Yeah,
it's giving people some inspiration, especially those who do homebrew things. You might find people reaching out to you, pitching you ideas now,
yeah.
if you haven't already.
Hopefully.
Great.
I've already had one, but that was about like one person. I was really hoping for more.
Good. All right. Well, there
So
you go,
one last thing I
everybody.
want to get into
Yep.
is going to be one of the things that I actually personally enjoyed working on. Me and Sir Nylock worked onto this together while he was working on his venturing packs and whatnot. It's actual containers.
Hey.
So if I press this little macro button, you can see now it brings up this container inventory,
Hmm.
and I can just drag and drop
Oh, come
these
on.
into there. See? And then
Nice.
it stores the item in there. And I can
Yeah.
also just drag it out, and you can see the full item comes back, just like that.
Fantastic.
This works really, really well too, because if you have like, for example, a monster with like a loot bag or something
Hmm.
like this, you can actually drag this into a player's inventory, have them have that loot bag, and now they have the magic items that come inside
Oh my
with
gosh,
that
that is
monster.
so nice. Why isn't this in every
So
single game system?
Mhm.
Wow,
Yeah, it by far one of my favorite things in there.
that is great.
That's it for pretty much the actual full homebrew module there.
Okay, so that bag goes in the homebrew module. Okay, so what's next? I think we've got the penguins.
Yeah, so next up is some of the paint stuff, this is supposed to be released in the month of April, so sometime this month. And this is just because of April Fools and whatnot, and the entire inside joke between DC20 and penguins and whatnot. So I've decided to just start making penguin subclasses for each single core class. So you can already see into here that the barbarian has this tundra warden, the bard has this cryo chorus one,
Wow.
champion has tidebreaker, and then cleric actually has this arctic acolyte subclass as well. And then there's of course going to be more stuff included like penguin monsters, which one of the ones I'm working on right now is Pengzilla, which is basically a penguin mixed with Godzilla.
Of course.
And then there's going to be some penguin magic items and then some penguin example heroes. That way you can just try out the subclasses right off the bat without having to create the actual character.
Fantastic. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot of work and a lot of
Uh-huh.
creativity. It's great. Okay, good. So that's coming out in April. So I guess everyone can just keep an eye on your, where should people follow you, or you like keep an eye on your channel, your goings on? Do you have like a Patreon, Discord?
I have actually three different ways. I have a Discord, I have a Patreon, and then I also have an actual YouTube channel, which I'm right now posting Foundry tutorials on for DC20.
Okay.
But I do try to create updates on there when I can.
Okay, great. So you'll give me those links and I'll put those in the description so people can follow you through their preferred method.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's penguins. Now you've also, does that segue to your third module, the monster?
Yes. Yes, the monster generator.
Oh gosh.
This thing is still a work in progress,
Okay.
and right now, as of right now, only thing that's really working correctly is stat block creation,
Okay.
which I think is really really cool. So I'm gonna open up this actors tab here. So if you press, so I have the module already installed. So if I press Control Shift M on my keyboard, it opens up this pop up window here.
Okay.
So I can actually enter my creature name, select the creature level, the creature type, and then as soon as I select my creature type, it's going to give me actual subtype lists based on the creature type. And you have your monster rolls, which is actually going to dictate what kind of stats the monster has. Your HP rank, so for like if I chose minion, it would take what the HP it decided upon and then divide that in half. If
Okay.
it's elite, it's actually a 1.5x multiplier,
Hmm.
and in boss, it's double the
Okay.
HP.
All right.
And then you can also choose the creature size. So I'm
Okay.
actually
Yeah.
gonna create an example here, but like as it shows, Shadow Beast will probably what we call it. Um, what kind of type do you want to see?
For our Shadow Beast, why don't we
Hmm.
do I don't know, maybe that's from the Fae. Maybe it's a Fae thing.
Okay. And of course, we have some subtypes. These aren't working yet, but at some point, these will actually have logic connected for them to actually generate abilities properly. So we'll just do something simple right now
Sounds
with
good.
that. And then we can also select our monster role. So I'm thinking probably skirmisher, right?
Sure.
And then we'll keep it at normal and then keep the creature size at medium. And then
Hmm.
we'll click this generate monster button right here. And you can kind of see it generate our shadow beast
Okay. Yeah.
with our level, and the Fae type was already put in there. You can also see Skirmisher was already put in there. You can always see the stats were already made and HP was already adjusted. Same thing goes with physical defense and mystical defense. And it actually increased the speed by 1 since it is a Skirmisher.
Nice.
And then this is some of the abilities that it's trying to generate. Right now it's not working, but I am still trying to figure out how to make it work 100% here.
Wow. So is that pulling from a library somewhere, or like how do you define those?
So the way I did it was by it creates its own .json files for the actual abilities.
Hmm.
So that's how that's exactly working. I've actually created some logic for those, but so far I haven't figured out how to get damages or attack modifiers working yet.
Okay, fair enough. I love it though. I mean, gosh, you cracked this nut, and just to have a way to generate uh, monsters is huge. And by the way,
Yep.
if people want to help, if you have ideas for how Onyx might do this or implement this or level this up as time goes on, leave it in the comments or reach out to him in one of those channels that you'll see in the description.
Here's another one that we just integrated here. And you can see this one
Nice.
that's actually given it fire resistance half, and actually level 3 as well, and everything else into here as well.
Wow. This is great. I mean, this solves such a big hole, right? Of just
Hmm.
getting enemies onto the map and just creating as many options as possible. So this is really exciting. Okay, well, so I think this covers everything that you've got out there today, right?
Yeah.
What's next? What's next for you? Where do you go from here?
So after the monster generator, which a lot of this stuff is probably going to be coming after 0.9.5, just because I don't want to release modules and then have to update all of them and stuff be broken for a while.
Right.
So those are probably coming out after that, sometime after that. But after that, I want to work on a potion crafting system.
Hmm,
So incorporate 100 potions, 300 ingredients, some roll tables where to find these ingredients, some actual crafting recipes, and some crafting books as well in order for you guys to craft those potions and whatnot.
great.
And and then after that, work on a cyberpunk slash sci-fi actual expansion pack and try to get like some sci-fi classes
Okay.
in there, subclasses, all that stuff.
Nice. I love it. Okay, great. And then at some point, I guess maybe with a lot of the stuff, you'll start doing some paid content. You've got a Patreon set up. It sounds like
Mhm.
it's open for people to come. Can they join your Patreon now? Is there anything that they can get at the moment, or is the
Um,
content coming?
yeah, they can already get some stuff at the moment. Right now, they can get the monster generator is already on early access. So basically, what I just showcased is already available on Patreon
Oh,
as an
nice.
early access manifest link.
Okay,
Also have some battle maps on there, and I'm constantly trying to keep people updated on what's going on with current modules and whatnot.
nice. I love it. Well, I'm glad that you're here and in the community, and not just creating content, but collaborating with everybody, and you're helping out Patrick and me and leveling everybody up at the same time. So glad to have you uh, with us in this adventure. For the rest of you, you can follow Onyx on his YouTube channel or Patreon or Discord. I think you mentioned, and those links, like I said, will be in the description. But yeah, in the meantime, this is great stuff. I can't wait to play around with all this content.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, with that, let us know in the comments if you've got ideas, if you've got ideas for homebrew things. I mean, honestly, any comments help the algorithm, help people learn about DC20 and learn that its best implementation today is on the Foundry platform. So feel free to start some conversations down below, and I'll make sure that I direct you Onyx back here if there's comments that you can field and questions and things like that. But in the meantime, thanks again for all the work, and thanks everybody for joining the channel and supporting DC20 in Foundry. Come to our Discord on the Bailey Wiki Discord. I'll link that in the description as well. There's also an official DC20 on the main Foundry Discord. So lots of places where you can jump into the conversation and let us know what you guys like to see next. But in the meantime, Onyx, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Can't wait to see what's coming up next. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you soon.